It's also moksha, kaivalya.
Yes. Hmm.
Mm.
I understand that way.
Mm.
Also, I have a question. It's a very, very this thing, बहुत ही meager question है, but yeah, it's a practical one. Uh, you might laugh also on that. That we mostly in practical life we exchange gifts, you know. So we should avoid this. According to the karma theory, do we gain yeah, good karma out of it, or what kind of karma comes out of it, so that what
No,
should
no,
be
no.
that?
If it's
This
making the
was
impression, then we should avoid. If
no,
it
no,
doesn't
no.
make
Excuse me. These are all the arguments. Now we will wait for Shankara's result. We'll follow the Shankara only.
Yeah. You know, that is why Nana had initially said you'll have to be very attentive. It's easy to understand, but you should not miss the train of the flow of the knowledge that is being given there. Because in between, there are lots of objections, lots of perspectives given by different people, like the Purva Mimamsaka, by the Purva Pakshis. They're all objections. They're all different perspectives. So let's not get caught up with that. Yeah. As we're reading itself with the little knowledge that we have from Atma Bodh and Tattva Bodh, you're able to see the fallacy in those arguments, isn't it? Like the Purva Mimamsaka, for instance, says that in this life, whatever we are doing is to, if you're following the Nitya Naimittika Karma, the pain that we go through in order to do that, getting up early in the morning, having to gather all the ingredients and doing the karma, that through that pain you will exhaust your prarabdha karma.
Yeah, you're just trying to create the belief.
Yeah, that is only a perspective. It is not what Shankara is saying. So, Lovelinji and everybody else, it is important for us to be very attentive when we are reading this, so that we know what the objection is, and that's clear in our mind, and what Shankara's answer and argument to that objection is. Yeah.
That will be tomorrow.
That will be tomorrow. Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. But there are like a few lines only where Shankara says specifically that Atma Bodh slokas, like where the fire is used to make the food, like that. So that example, and then there is another one you read, right? Like the
Arani, that is the Arani.
Arani, yeah. They just what is that song? Is that?
Tejas Timira Sanghavat.
Yeah, Timira Sanghavat. Tejas Timira Sanghavat. So that is, those two examples were given in terms of that Atma. I mean, there are only few points I picked it up, but remember we had the question about Jignashu. Jignashu is about the gaining knowledge, seeker of knowledge. I think Mumukshu is the seeker of the freedom. So if that the difference I could make out, maybe I thought of clearing that also with Nanaji, but since we are continue to read, I didn't want to break it.
Yeah, we can clarify that in the morning tomorrow before we start, just to get some clarity, whether they are the same or there's some minor difference.
Right. And then
if we have, no, excuse me, if we have a Jnanasu for the highest knowledge, it is moksha. But if you want to know the material, that is Jnanasu. That is also.
Sureshji, here Jignasu does not mean material Jignasu. Here it is.
That is what. So it should be same, no? Almost Jignasu and the moksha.
Yeah. It is to seek the knowledge. That's a Jignashu, and the one is the one seeking the knowledge is Jignashu. The Mumukshu, I was wondering what was the difference between Jignashu and Mumukshu. So that's where I had the question.
So basically, in all that we read now, it is saying whether the contentions that the others put up forward is that karma is required. You have to continue doing your nitya naimitika karma because you have to exhaust your prarabdha, and it's not knowledge alone. So there were 2, 3, 4 different perspectives that came up in the arguments. But all that has been so far, whatever Shankara has mentioned, is that like knowledge is it is opposed to ignorance. It is only knowledge that is opposed to ignorance and not karma, because karma is born out of ignorance. It cannot oppose ignorance. It is like you cannot sweep, you cannot take out buckets and buckets of darkness to clear a room of darkness. No amount of action, no amount of karma can remove that darkness. It is only light that brings in, it is only knowledge, only when you put on the light that the darkness disappears.
They gave a good example. You cannot remove the darkness by the fuse bulb. You need to have a proper bulb to, the light to remove the darkness. Same way, like the knowledge removes the darkness. The knowledge is the means for moksha. Like a light removes the darkness.
At the same time, Shankara says all these nitya naimitika karmas have their role to play in creating a pure mind, in creating that antakarna shuddhi. So he's not negating karma completely, but he emphasizes that to gain the ultimate kaivalya or moksha, it is only knowledge. That can be the only means.
So when I keep thinking about what is that knowledge, it's basically that's I am Brahman, that's a basic, that's a knowledge. To acquire that, you have to do a lot of work. And in the sense, like to me, like somebody, said something about another person, I forgot his name, Balekar or somebody. He talks about, the object, you remember how we say that observer and objectifying, looking at the object and all that. So we, as being an observer, we are not the subject. We are also no object. So then becomes that subject is only one in the whole universe, is that only the Brahman. So we are also object. If you put it that way, that like meaning like the body mind complex or whatever, we are thinking that way. So that gives some different perspective.
Somewhere he said, Shankara says the problem is that of inadequacy, that it is not the body or the mind.
Yeah, very good.
It is the problem of mistaken notion of I. I have mistaken the rope to be a snake. So the only knowledge, only the light of knowledge can remove this misconception of the I. I have taken myself to be the body. I have taken myself to be the mind. So that notion can be removed. That is the only problem. So the solution also is in removing that notion. That when for that it is only knowledge. No karma can remove that.
Yeah. So when we negating it, there is one place we read about giving up everything.
Correct.
Right. That was give up everything, but at the same time, you're not giving up everything. You are everything.
You are.
That point was so nice.
It was very beautiful. That point was correct.
Yeah, that was made, that whole paragraph was so beautiful. Like you think, oh, you give up this. And that, no, you're not giving up anything and you're all everything, so you are all inclusive. That's the whole truth.
It is like
So-
what Dev says, the journey is from being somebody to being nobody,
Not nobody
being
and
everybody.
then everybody. Yeah.
So
So when
That's
you
very
become
true.
everything,
Yeah.
then there is no question of adequacy at all, inadequacy at all.
mm,
You are
Right.
adequate. But
Mhm.
if the doubt comes, means you are not yet reached there.
mm. Correct.
This
That
is, I think, the main argument Shankara and Buddha have, right? Buddha says he negates everything. But then Shankara asks, who is feeling that there is nothing? So there is something. So it's all inclusive. This is Shankara's counter answer to that. Even because Buddhists, they don't even think, say that there is no Atma also. But Shankara says, who is feeling that there is nothing? Who is saying that there is nothing?
That question itself is so meditative, no?
Yeah. It is. My only wonder is, see, these Purva Mimamsas, Uttara Mimamsa, of course, is the Vedanta, but all these Purva Pakshis were also kind of part of the Vedas. They were all part of the Vedas. My only wonder is, how come we have so many perspectives that seemingly are false? Like when we listen to Shankara's arguments and counter arguments, they all seem like they're falsified, right? So I'm just
That's a
wondering
belief, right?
how,
Yeah.
how all of these
Well,
cropped up,
who is these people like the Mimamsas? Like,
like Jaimini and Sankhya Shastra was Kapila.
yeah.
So they're all different. They're called, they're parts of the Vedas. The Angas, Sharangas were there. There are Shat Anga. There are 6 Angas to the Vedas, and of these, there is, I'll tell you, the Pura Mimamsa, then Sankhya, and what are the others? One second. Let me. Does
Uttar
anyone
Mimamsa.
remember? Uttara Mimamsa, then
Vaisheshika.
Vaisheshika. There are six different angas. Of that, the last anga is the Uttara Mimamsa, which Vedanta is a part of. Yeah, it's Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Sankhya, then
Brahman.
Purva Mimamsa, Uttara Mimamsa. I'm forgetting one. There's one more of the Shadangas.
Brahmana, like that.
Brahmana is the beginning part of any Veda. The 4 Vedas, Rig Veda, Rig, Yajur, Sama, Atharva Veda.
Sankhya.
Sankhya is included. So the Brahmanas are those, the initial part of the Vedas which talk of all the rituals, the Karma Kanda aspect. It is important for us to know the parts of these Vedas, so we are.
Argument which says that even if we do punya, we have to take a body and enjoy it. That was also a very good point,
And Shankara's question was what? He says, okay, in how many, in the previous birth you have done this, but for that birth you must have had a previous birth. So you go on and on and on. That means you have countless births. Where do you begin? I think that was his argument, isn't it, with respect to births?
Unless we have this Jnana Nishtha, I think it's going to get very confusing, isn't it? In one,
It is better to be in this confusion. Guruji says, no, confusion gives the answer to moksha.
And that's where they also said, no, we should avoid, if we don't want birth, and then we should be, we should be working on avoiding gathering the punya, so that's where my question came from. So what are the things that we can go through, or we can work upon, so that we don't go in for adding on punyas and avoid the next birth? So that's what they said. In this janma, you can work on them.
No,
I
for
think
that,
the best way is to give up the doership. So you don't collect any bad or good karma.
Surrender. Yeah.
see, for that we were told, no, in Bhagavad Gita, to not give up your yajna dana tapah karma, na tyajet. You have to continue doing it for antakarna shuddhi. It is not for gaining punya or papa, but you continue doing your nitya naimitika karma with that sattvika shraddha. You drop all your kamya karmas. You're not doing it for the sake of gaining some punya here or hereafter. So when you continue doing your work like that, then there will be that intellectual and mental purity, the antakarna shuddhi that happens. And along with that, you continue pursuing knowledge. That is what we all are. We are all karma yogis. So your question of should we not accept gifts from others is not kind of relevant there, no? There is, of course, the concept of aparigraha, where you do not over accumulate. But by accepting a gift, you're not accruing punya or papa there, are you? No, you're doing it innocently. Like how you give gifts and you want others to accept them. You should also be in a position to accept gifts, so that you give the other person, the giver, a chance to give. Isn't it?
But giving should be kind of avoided wherever it can be. We need not go, over the board to give, because sometimes out of love you would like to give, so we should be, stop there or think, is it necessary? Then only go ahead.
That is what is said also, no? Diyate iti yad danam. So whenever it is required to the worthy person, that danam is sattvika danam. So you need to do that. It is not for the sake of giving or just to show off that I'm giving. So even that danam has been prescribed, isn't it? In both chapter 18 as well as 17, I think. The Bhagwan has qualified what kind of danam we need to do. Doing it at the right time, at the right place, to the worthy person, worthy recipient. Yeah.
But dana is different from gifts, right? Isn't that?
Yeah. And out of love, we generally on birthdays and all those things, friends, family, all those things, those maybe we can start avoiding a little, or maybe give something which is beneficial to them.
Correct.
A book.
Give them a book. Yeah. Initiate them into knowledge. Initiate them onto the path. That will be a big, beautiful gift, isn't it? Rather than give something material. There's no harm in giving any material stuff as long as it is useful to them. But yeah, I think we can refine the kind of gifts we want to give.
Yeah. That's where, yeah. Thank you.
I feel Shankara's answer would be, once we become Jnana Nishtha, or once we are in that moksha, that fire itself burns all the sanchita and everything, because you don't have any existence. That I is dissolved, then I'm expecting that. I don't know, that was my thinking. Then there is no karma at all, actually. Once you become that, you are doing just to keep your body, to finish off your prarabdha. That's it. So you are not gaining, you are not. That's what Jivana Mukta is.
Yeah.
I feel that way.
That's how it is. I think that is how we learned also in Tattva Bodh about what happens to the Jnani Sanchita Karma. The yat punya, whatever punya he does, people who praise him, who venerate him, who serve him, all the Jnani Krita Punya Karma goes to them. And whatever little Papa Karma he's got of the Sanchita, whoever abuse him or humiliate him or disrespect him, it will go to them. That is what we learned in Tattva Bodh, isn't it? So that Sanchita Karma of the Jnani will not be a reason for him to take another birth. Here he is freed from this samsara. But that whatever that Sanchita that remains, this is what happens.
So that fire of knowledge,
in the latest
burns
edition
everything. The fire of knowledge burns everything. Jnanagni, no?
Correct.
All the karma, all the punya, whatever it is. So whatever remaining, what we are, will be for the prarabdha karma. You are just living to exhaust that.
Correct.
That would be
in the latest
karma.
In the last edition
this is
of
what my small mind is thinking.
1 second, Sureshji, I think Sumaji wanted to say something.
Thank you, Brahmaraji. In the last edition of Karma by Ask Gurudev Anything, in that Gurudev says that if you do any action without having an impression in your action, then there is no karma that you create because of that action. So, and he said it is impossible for anybody in this world to do an action without creating an impression of that action. If you can do that, then you are Krishna, he says.
Correct. This was the recent one.
Yeah.
There was about the thought, even that the thoughts usually comes and goes, and if you let it just go without holding on that thought and making an impression in your mind, then it should be fine. If not, that impression creates the that karma pala, whatever that would be cause for the papa punya.
And somewhere in our class, or I don't know where, maybe Gurudev said, or it's the enlightened person comes on the this world, collecting the punyas of his bhaktas, or collective punyas. He gathers that and he comes onto this world.
Punyas. It is not collective punyas. He is a manifestation of the collective prayers of the people. From the prayers of everyone, that is how an avatara takes place. An enlightened person or an avatara is born. Because of the collective prayers of good people.
Is it only prayers or punya also?
Prayers is what I remember. I had asked this question.
Yes, prayers.
It was a collective prayers of people that an avatara takes.
Hmm.
is
And
born.
these avatars have no karma, punya or papa,
Yeah.
when they descend. So it is not collective karma of good karma of others. It is the prayer, collective prayer of
But
the
in
devotees.
Bhagavatam, we have seen that people have been cursed to, and then they come on the earth. I mean, somewhat
Yeah,
like that.
Bhagavatam, we should not confuse. I mean, Puranas, they have a different, line of thinking, line of thread. So maybe we should not, and we cannot draw comparisons between Puranas and Vedanta. Then we will get confused into total confusion. Puranas have to be left where they are. They are like stories that are told to bring out higher truths, yes, but we cannot really logically explain Vedanta, Puranas through the eyes of Vedanta. That's what I understood, because there are so many things that we will end up confusing then, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we cannot kind of logically link Puranas with Vedanta. Although there are lots of higher truths that are presented through Puranas, but I'm not sure whether it is like one on one, you can put one on the other and say, yes, they are in total alignment. So
Keep it simple. Keep it simple.
Thanks to Sarala ji, she has mentioned, it starts with Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Sankhya, Yoga, Purva Mimamsa and Uttara Mimamsa. These are the 6 Shadangas. So Uttara Mimamsa is otherwise called Vedanta. So these are the 6 limbs of Vedas.
But completely I felt, keep it simple, follow Guruji, so simple things. Therefore, we need a Guru, Very, very simple. Very, very simple. Just do Kriya, be free of mind.
Yeah, but just doing Kriya, even Gurudev says you're not going to get moksha. He said that in
but
one of
you will get knowledge.
Yeah, he said no amount of karma will lead you to liberation.
Yeah, he also comes.
Sadhana, all of that you put in one bag, put it aside. That is not going to lead you to moksha. So just by doing kriya, just by doing sadhana, yoga, is not going to liberate us. So you have to pursue knowledge, and it is only that ultimate. All this has a role, not that, of course, no doubt. Like even how Shankara says, there is no doubt that your sadhana, yoga, all that will help. Even diet, he said, even refining your diet will help in refining your antakarna. But they have only that much of importance. To take the
ultimately, it is through grace.
It is through knowledge.
Knowledge and
that
grace.
Knowledge, you cannot just say, okay, I'm doing my kriya, yoga, so let grace come. That knowledge has to purify the intellect. You have to do knowledge. That is why Gurudev says, read the Bhagavad Gita. He doesn't say it simply. He's been imploring us to read, learn the Bhagavad Gita. So it is done, said with a purpose in mind, no? Otherwise, he could have said, just kriya, just do your yoga and that's it. My grace will take care of you. But not just kriya, there is knowledge in there is knowledge intertwined in all that we do in the art of living.
These are like samagri to create the heat to cook the food.
Correct. We have to gather the samagri. So we should be clear in our mind. Otherwise, this fruition of this life, and ultimately that is what we want. We want this life to fructify. The sarthakata will happen once we are where we have that clarity in our mind as to what we're doing and for what end we're doing. What is the means we are taking up? No amount of homas, for instance, will lead you to moksha, right? That is very clear now. With all these arguments, counter arguments, that will only give you you'll accrue punya so that you can have a birth which is maybe a higher birth, like a human birth, where you experience that sukha. That is it. That is all the effect of these rituals.
While enjoying the sukha, you may get even caught up in the karma and again go back to that
Why
also is
not?
possible.
That is
Yes.
how the samsara, cycle of samsara is that, no? Isn't it? That is why samsari is not a moksha, is not a mumukshu. A mumukshu is one who has only one intention. I just want Ishvara. That's it. Nothing else. Everything else. And that is what Gurudev says. He says, keep your highest goal should be spirituality, should be divinity. Then everything else will be taken care of. So many ways he said, keep me as your focus, me as your goal, not everything else. And that is why that Guru Mandala, there are so many attractions that can take our mind away from the main goal. And you can get lost in the pursuit. You'll think, oh, I'm there on the path. But on the path, there are so many attractions. So that Vyavasayatmika Buddhi is so important. Keep your goal clear and then follow it. That's what even Swami Chinmayananda said, no, yoke yourself to the highest. Then all these little things in the material world, that beautiful video that Vijayji shared in the group is so beautiful. Those three different aspects of, how sukha, dukkha, honor, dishonor, in different levels of our existence, we get caught up in. They're all impermanent. What is permanent? You have that clarity and then get on to that.
Such a difficult path.
It is.
Wonderful.
It is
Wonderful.
a path that's kshurasya dhara duratyaya. It's like walking on a razor edge. That is why awareness is. That is why our kriya helps. Sadhana and all that. They help in bringing in that awareness, that alertness. So in an alert, aware mind, you can only live in the present. You're not in the past, not in the future. So you're in the present. And when you're in the present and you're doing things out of awareness, you're not accruing any karma.
The takeaway for today is what? Basically, that the means of moksha is only by knowledge.
Correct.
Not by the karma or combination of karma or moksha. That's where you were talking about that, what is it called? That Buddha, Veda Buddhi or something like that.
Veda Buddhi, yeah. That.
I think we'll get the answer tomorrow.
All that stuff, like we kind of negated it, all the wrong thinking. Yeah, I know Shankara's yet to come, but he also mentioned it in the little bit in between those characters. Maybe you have to make notes as we're reading these things.
One reading is not enough. We should go through this again and again. And yeah.
I know we have to, but then at least try to make some points like that. Who said what here?
Yeah. Shall we wind up here today?
Yeah.
You want to say something, Dr. Mara?
No, that's pretty much it. Like, remember that I was searching for that word too, what that meaning was. Then I found out that means basically there's only one, that moksha is the means of knowledge. The other two are excluded by Shankara. That's one, like TU, right?
Yeah.
I get confused sometimes between this Sanskrit word and the Spanish word. You know.
So, like Nana suggested, tomorrow, in case any of you is reading, for the
Yeah,
Sanskrit words, we'll just leave it. Maybe Nana can
yeah,
read it out.
that'll be
We'll
fine.
go
Some of
ahead.
them are,
That, sometimes because we're getting caught in there, the line of
yeah,
thinking of that thing gets missed.
exactly.
So it
Yeah,
is not so much about us getting it correctly. It is about
yeah,
getting the listener and us also, of course, the reader also, to follow
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
line of thought.
Yeah, it is kind of hard, all of a sudden the way that is pronounced it is not,
Yeah.
we are
So for
not
the time
sure.
for this text, I think people are finding it difficult to read the Sanskrit italics, the words given there. Better to you leave it. Now, if Nana is there, Nana will of course do it. If he is not, and I will chip in. Okay.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
thank you.
let's wind up here today. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Gurudev.
Thank
Then
you.
Jai
Jai
Gurudev.
Gurudev.